Welcome to another episode of GlideChat. My name is Mike Lombardo, CEO and founder of GlideFast Consulting. With me today is Bob Colson, Senior Manager of Application Development and ServiceNow Platform Owner at Gainwell Technologies. Bob, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for joining. We had to reschedule a couple times, so I'm really glad we were able to get going here today. And first of all, I just want to thank you for the partnership. I mean, you've been an amazing partner for GlideFast, and you guys really took a risk on us and brought us in as a vendor and really been an amazing partnership. So thank you so much.
You bet.
So Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got, into IT, maybe a little high level about your career, and we'll start there.
Okay. Been in IT about 30 years or so. So I'm looking towards that retirement button here pretty soon, but kind of spanned all over the place from out of college. I came out of college right at the right time when computers just came out in a weird way and laptops were just starting to hit the market.
Yeah.
And really my career pivoted more towards networking. It's when
Wow.
NetWare and networking and that old coax to networking days started to happen. So I jumped on the network bandwagon, rode that for pretty much most of my career with companies like WorldCom before they went under and managed really all the WorldCom network back in the day.
Wow.
And then when I came over to my last organization as a kind of a lead process owner, the CIO at the time said, "Hey, we want to put a tool on the plate internally and stop going through a third party."
Yeah.
And so we did a big RFP on all the different tools and platforms out there. And truthfully, we came up with ServiceNow.
Yep.
So then I jumped on the ServiceNow bandwagon as an app owner.
Yeah.
And never done that before.
Yeah.
Manage people, not applications. So that was a good journey for me personally, just to get on that trail and did that I think I've been at about 12 years now. I started with Geneva, that dates you with my ServiceNow side.
Yep.
So I've been at it for a while. And not a coder. I'm not a certified admin or anything like that, but I know enough to be dangerous. I know how the platform operates.
Yep.
I'm having gone through multiple onboarding journeys. I think I've done about 22 now, if my memory serves me correctly, with onboarding different organizations or divisions or business units. So
Yep.
I feel pretty confident and gone through some trial and errors to learn what not to do and what to do better.
Yep.
And now, of course, at Gainwell, Gainwell's about 2 years old. Gainwell was part of DXC, and DXC shifted out their professional services for health and human services from a state and federal level.
Yep.
And so they've been supporting that for about 40 years prior. But a venture capitalist came in and said, "Hey, let's start Gainwell." Again, we're about 2.5 years old. So we're like a $2 billion startup in a weird way.
Wow.
And like any new journey, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of moving parts, but at the same time, we're getting to build ServiceNow from the ground up, which is awesome. And that's why I came over and joined the Gainwell team.
I'll tell you, first of all, congratulations on such an amazing career. And, a couple of things really stuck out. One is, you seem to not be afraid to reinvent yourself when needed, especially, going from WorldCom, right? It's little different now, which is very brave, right? And I think a lot of people out there are a little hesitant to reinvent themselves. A lot of people say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I couldn't disagree more, right? I think especially in technology where things are changing, you got to adapt, and there's a lot of challenges associated with that, but I'll give you a ton of credit there. And I loved hearing, a lot about like the lessons you were just talking about, right? Like what not to do, right? All right, we went down this path, made this mistake. Let's not do that again, and, that goes all the way back when I was a customer over, a dozen years ago. We started on the Aspen release. I made a lot of those mistakes. I over customized, I had a vendor. You mentioned the name. Actually, I'm not going to repeat it. They were actually my partner. Actually, before the company was acquired, it was before that. But we made some mistakes together, and that just shaped so much of the rest of my career. Of like, okay, now I understand. We need to follow best practices. There's a reason why we don't want to customize the platform in a bad way. that's going to affect upgrades. And there's going to be upgrades every, twice a year. There's upgrades coming. We know there's going to be changes. So that's incredible, insightful for our audience to really understand. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just make sure you learn from
Yeah.
them and try
Yeah.
not to do it
Well,
again.
you touched on something that was pretty funny, which we all in the ServiceNow space know this, but we rarely practice it, is don't over customize, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And that's one of the big things I learned about 2 organizations ago, where we were yes men. We just kept,
Yeah.
yes, we'll do this, do that,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
consumed. And you're gonna laugh, but our upgrade turned out to be about 26 hours on
Oh,
that platform upgrade. And I'm
yeah.
just like, I'm too old for these all-nighters, and that one stung big
Yeah.
time.
That's too much.
And so I really took that one to heart, and especially now being at Gainwell, where I'm getting pushed to customize like everybody.
Yep.
We'll always customize a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
balance
Yeah.
between how much and all that. And that's one thing I'm really standing firm, and of course rattling some cages, but we all know and don't want to go through that 20 or 30-hour upgrade again. That's just not
Exactly.
feasible. So that I've learned that lesson big time, and
Yep.
really trying to push that, keep the customization light button.
Yeah, and it's like it's crazy because a lot of people confuse what customization is, and is a configuration. We try to focus on personalization, so we try to stay away from both of those words, configuration, customization. Just say we want to personalize your environment because development needs to happen. You know that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, I think, but it needs to happen the right way. It needs
Yeah.
to happen in a best solution model, right? Where we're avoiding bad practices, right? And I think that's the word customize. It's those bad practices, but, building a custom application or a scoped application is totally fine, right? With the right development, with the right architecture. So that's what we try to focus on. GlideFast, we always try to focus on building, developing the correct way, following best practices, avoiding the bad ones. Another thing I love you saying too about, just being yes men and women, right?
Yeah.
Like it's an art form, really,
Hmm.
to how you can deliver. Hey, you know what? That's a great idea. But if we do it this way, we're not going to have upgrade issues and you're still going to have the same result you're looking for. And that's really, a great consultant. That's a great leader and a platform owner to be able to give your customer or your department, your division, your users what they want, but also keeping in the parameters of best practice
Yeah.
and making everybody happy, right? Instead of saying
Yeah.
that's a terrible idea, why would we do that, right? You
Yep.
do it in a way where, listen, here's how I can get you what you're looking for, and also we're staying in the parameters of where we need to
Yeah. And
for upgrade.
that's also the beauty of service now. I mean,
Yes,
there's literally, I mean, I'm sure there's some, but there's not much you can't do. There's some
yes,
module, there's some or scope app. I mean,
hmm,
there's ways to cross the finish line. There really, really is. It's
yeah,
just how much do you want to consume, or can you consume without overly customizing? I mean, back to that discussion. So that's the part I really love when I took on the ServiceNow journey of looking at the power of that platform. It is,
yeah,
as you guys know, it is incredible.
yep,
It costs money clearly to do things, but if you have enough buy-in from your customers on what they're after and produce good solutions, they'll pay for it. And that's one thing I've also learned, is to make sure we give them those options and cost benefits, and that whole cost analysis. But at the end of the day, we know ServiceNow can do pretty much anything.
yeah,
It's just trying to understand what they want and what we can provide without getting ourselves in a
in trouble.
pigeonhole of customization. That's the
Yep,
game, right?
exactly. And I'll tell you, when I was consulting, developing, and stuff, almost every single time when I would say, I'd go there and say, ServiceNow can't do that, or I'm about to say that, and I'd say probably 90% of the time, I would be stand corrected. So I taught myself then, okay, let me not before I do my diligence, let me never say that, because sometimes I've just, over the years, I've been amazed about some of the things ServiceNow can do that I just
Yeah.
didn't expect it to,
Yeah. Well, especially for me at least,
Mhm.
I don't know if it was Rome-ish, but somewhere around the Rome, maybe be a little before Rome, ServiceNow really did some great
Oh
things. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah. It
there
was,
were light bulb moments of, oh wow, you guys
yeah.
do that. now, and then of
I
course
know.
they keep expanding to that. But yeah, I've really enjoyed, yeah, post Rome-ish, maybe it's New York, but somewhere in that range. It's been, I mean, it's hard for anyone out there to deny that it
Yeah.
truly is a solid platform and can do pretty much anything you want. And then from us on the back end coding it, it's
Yeah.
really not that hard. It's
No,
like,
the coding's one thing and the development,
mhm,
but I think another challenge with ServiceNow is just understanding all there's so many tools at
yeah,
your, that you can leverage. It's just knowing like all the options
yeah,
in knowing and knowing the best way because there's like five different ways. You give me a challenge, there's five different ways I can do it. There's five ways I can make a failed read only, but there's one best way for your use case.
yeah,
So I think a lot of that is the skill set that a lot of consultants have now is just knowing which tool to use out of the tool bag, which solution to provide, just,
yep.
given all the opportunity you have to leverage solutions. Loving this conversation, by the way. I think we could probably do this all night. I'd love to hear a little bit of your experience with GlideFast,
Mhm.
why GlideFast, and definitely some positives about working
Yeah,
with
yeah. I
GlideFast.
mean, it's funny, segue into what you just said. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much that ServiceNow has to offer, and at least from my journey here at Gainwell, it's been, fast and furious. I mean, we
yeah,
have to build this thing quickly. HHS isn't slowing down, and in fact, with COVID and some of that stuff behind us, we tracked all that. I mean, we were very very integral in that whole dynamic the last couple of years. So we've been on a fast paced course to get ServiceNow to meet our customers' needs, and we support the bulk of those HHS state agencies out there.
yeah,
So, having said that, we have to not only move fast, but with the solutions ServiceNow has to offer, I don't have the resources or even the expertise, to be quite honest, on some of the stuff that we know we can do,
yep,
but we don't have the manpower or expertise to do it. So lean on people or folks like you guys with GlideFast, and it's been a good journey. I'll admit to that. It's like any third party engagement, it's kind of clunky in the beginning, but once you kind of get your feet wet and everyone kind of understands what's going on, you start making some serious progress.
yep,
And I've done that with you guys, of course. I mean, it's been about a 2-year journey thus far,
yeah. Wow.
and it's been very very good for me personally because
Yeah,
we are crossing the finish line getting some good stuff done, but having to lean on your team for that expertise that we don't have, and
wow.
and I love that because I
Yeah.
come from the school, I'm a pretty smart guy, I think, but I don't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything.
Yeah, so far, so good.
But if someone else out there knows it, let's tap into their
Yeah,
brain power, right? And
yeah.
we do that with you guys, and we do it quite well. And I do appreciate and thank you, Mike, for you and the team and the support, because we've thrown you guys some pretty good curveballs, and you guys have always been there to help us, work through it.
We love the curveballs, and I'll tell you, Bob. Like that's what's great about GlideFast is like, you know, when from day one, I always wanted to be surrounded with people smarter than me. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm maybe I'm the most passionate, the loudest person, waving the GlideFast flag there, but I am like the least intelligent one here. Like, and it's especially with ServiceNow. I mean,
Yeah,
there's nobody in the world, I'm convinced, because I know a lot of experts that knows the entire platform.
yeah,
It's impossible.
agreed.
There's no way you can have the front end experience and the
Mhm.
expertise, the back end, the infrastructure, the process specific areas, industry now, which is what makes it fun and is what makes an opportunity for a great market and a nice competitive market as well. So
Yeah.
all right, Bob, I always like to ask one thing you can leave our audience with some advice. You're also obviously extremely successful. So we always like to pay it forward. Do you have any advice for people want to maybe move up in their career like you have and reinvent themselves?
Mm, that's a tough one, but yeah, I think keep an open mind. I mean, that's it's like anything in life. There's challenges and there's changes, and we as humans sometimes have that difficult
Yeah.
play of I don't want to change. I'm in my comfort zone, whatever you want to call it. And I would just say, don't do that. I mean, it's actually kind of good to get out of your comfort zone. Push yourself a little bit, reinvent yourself if you need to. And the other side of it is, and I know we're talking service now, but let's not discount. It's a pretty strong platform, and there's a lot of opportunity if you have that service now background, whatever that may be, right? So I would definitely tell people, don't be shy, don't be scared. And truthfully, you might want to think about jumping on that ServiceNow bandwagon. I mean, if I could go back again and kind of redo some things, heck, I'd be a coder sitting in my house making good bank and just coding, not
Yeah.
worried about the political stress I deal with. But
Yeah.
I would say just keep an open mind is what I would say to people is, I've definitely adjusted and changed my career over time. And truthfully, the stuff I learned, whether it was being a server admin or a network engineer back in the day, that all kind of helps today, even with working with ServiceNow. So yeah, keep an open mind would be my main thing, and don't be scared to branch out. And even if you tip over, it's not a mistake; it's a learning opportunity. And I always kind of play it that way of learn as you go and improve as you go.
Love it. Bob, thanks so much for joining us on an episode of Glide Chat. Make sure you subscribe to us on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and everyone have a great day.